When that drip, I wipe it off. $1 million worth of game. Can't feel that I work too hard. Poetry.
What's good? What's good? What's good? It's your boy Dope Boy Diesel. We back in the Doja room once again. Um, I think this is the moment we've all been waiting for. So it's about that time. It is about that time. If you're reading the title, you already know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just getting in and seeing the news myself. It would seem that we got confirmation that this new evidence for the Tory Lanez trial, this Tory Lanez case, is not cat. Congresswoman Luna has delivered today, just an hour ago. Okay, we getting straight to it. All right, we getting straight to it today. Like I said, this is a moment that a lot of us has been waiting for. Um, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, okay, she has delivered apparently the witness audio tape who apparently testified to say that she seen, well, didn't testify on stand or in court, but she pretty much gave a testimony, a recounting of events, and she seen Kelsey fire a gun. Okay, I mean, hold up, man. One time, let's get a motherfucking Don DeMarco for Congresswoman Luna. Okay, nah, come on,
Dom DeMarco.
come on. She has audio tapes. Now I haven't heard this yet. I just hopped in. I haven't touched it yet. I just put it to the side because I came here to break this down with you guys. But she has audio tapes of a witness saying that she seen Kelsey fire the gun.
Dom DeMarco.
Yeah, yeah, it's time. It's time. So I'm not gonna waste any time today. Is obviously we're gonna get to the Diddy trial stuff as well. Same routine. We're gonna break down a few topics. This is not a minor topic here though. This is a big one. So yeah, we're gonna break this down, see what this has to offer, and unpack this. And then we'll get to the Diddy trial stuff. It is day 12. Okay, we're gonna stick to covering this thing and applying pressure. All right. So without further ado, welcome to the Doja Room. I'm your boy Dope Boy Diesel. I appreciate you guys for stepping through. To all my stoners, hippies, and hip hop enthusiasts, please sit down, roll one, put one in the air, and we're gonna get to these audio files and see what has what has the internet in an uproar, what has Congresswoman Luna, what she's been sitting on exactly all this time. So now we get to finally, I'm guessing, hear it. Um, and she posts a link. She posts a link here. Um, she posts a link here. Now I'm gonna go ahead and share this. I'm gonna share this link that she posted, and so we can get right to it and break it down together. Because this seems to be a link to a presentation. Okay, it's called 36 Hours Later. This is apparently again the presentation that Congresswoman Luna put out, and we're gonna break that down here. Let me just make sure that we are firing on all cylinders out here. Okay, gotta make sure we on Rumble, make sure we on Twitter, we are on YouTube. I see. Making sure everybody gets in here. This is gonna be big, guys. This is gonna be big. I want everybody to get in here and make sure we prepared for this. Let me just make sure that everybody is on one accord. Okay. Okay, all right. We up and running. Okay. Let's get to it. So we got this presentation that Congresswoman Luna put out. It's called 36 Hours Later. Okay? It's the truth Says the truth uncovered, suppressed evidence proves Tory Lanez is innocent. Okay, we're gonna get to this. So, it says the truth becomes clear when facts come to light. Key inconsistencies, unreliable testimony, and missing evidence prove Daystar Peterson, aka Tory Lanez, was convicted based on flawed and incomplete narrative. So, through Megan Pete's own words, police reports, and excerpt analysis, the facts suggest that Tory Lanez did not fire the weapon and tried to stop the conflict. The case deserves to be reconsidered as the evidence points to a different truth. So fact check list, okay? She put out a whole fact check list on that ass, okay? Let's get to this. So the fact check list says Megan told the police and doctors she stepped on glass, not shot. Okay. The video and officers confirm Megan stepped on glass on a glass bottle, not hit by gunfire. So they're coming straight out, it seems, to say that Megan was not shot at all. They're coming out to say that Megan was not shot, point blank, period. Like, that's what it seems like they're saying to me. It says video and officers confirmed Megan stepped on a glass bottle, not hit by gunfire. Sean Kelly testified. Two women fought in the street. One fired first. Tory was still in the car. This is what he testified. Kelsey tested positive for gunshot residue. Her DNA was never tested again. It was never tested against the gun. Kelsey received a free rent for a year after the shooting. Who paid and why? Who paid her rent? So they're asking new questions that could possibly, lead to maybe trying to find out where Kelsey's loyalty lies. EJ said an object in the girl's luggage looked like a gun. So again, we're placing the weapon in the luggage of the girls, so it wasn't even in Tory's possession. Megan claims she spoke out in response to Tory, but the timeline proves she went public first. Tory's DNA was not found, and that's another thing too. When she was saying all of that, oh, Tory is running all these stories, he's saying this and that and the third. I was like, where is all of this shit that Tory's saying? Where's all of this shit? I mean, I seen people were joking, making jokes about it. That's the most that I seen. I seen people making jokes about the shit and, basically treating the shit like, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't really nothing. That's what it seemed like. I seen a lot of people making jokes, making light of it, and at the moment, that's what seemed to me what triggered her and what set her off. Okay, so then it says Tory's DNA was not found on the magazine, only 0.01% on the gun, statistically irrelevant. 90% of the DNA on the gun belonged to an unknown male, not Tory. Tory's jail call apology was about the drama of sleeping with two friends, not a shooting. This is the one that a lot of these crazy ass hotties, thotties try to run with and, play the game and act like Tory admitted to shooting somebody. But even though the audio might sound bad out of context, he never admitted to a shooting. Okay? He never admitted to shooting anybody. So Tory has repeatedly said, I would never do anything like this. Says no bullet fragment on x-ray, no nerve damage, fractures, or joint trauma in Megan's medical records. Bullet fragments were lost, never presented at trial. Prosecutors misused Tory's rap lyrics, tattoos, and uncharged allegations to sway the jury. Kelsey's story changed multiple times. She admitted to lying under pressure. And Megan's own timeline and injuries don't match the story of a shooting. Okay? So it says to please note, Tory was not on probation at the time of the incident. He wasn't a felon, nor did he have a criminal record before this case. The owner of the gun has been sealed and has never been determined. Says bottom line, the facts don't add up. The case against Tory Lanez is built on shifting stories, missing evidence, and lies. Tory Lanez did not shoot Megan, it says. So we have a table of contents here. Oh shit, she's going in. I hope y'all niggas is tuned in, man. I hope y'all niggas is tuned in. She's going in. Hold on, let me get my blunt ready. Like, she's not playing. She got a table of contents. The fuck is going on? You gotta put one in the air, ladies and gentlemen. Hold up. You gotta get the utensils out, cause she's going crazy. You know what I mean? We about to be here for a little quick second. As my boy K Dub said, all my Dojites, I hope y'all locked in. You know what I'm saying? Roll your blunt. You know, this is the Doja room. That's what we doing here. Okay? Get your blunt ready. We about to lock in and see what this evidence that has been being withheld from us has to say. Okay, so she got a table of contents. It says stepping into the truth, a glass or a gunshot. It says, what did Megan say happened in the hospital? Timeline, contradictions, Megan's claims. Megan and Kelly. Oh, she's going in. Oh my gosh, she got the videos with him. She got the videos to play, yo. Yo. Congresswoman Luna, you coming like this? You coming like this? Yo, damn. Hold up. Hold up. So it says in her own words, I ain't get cut by no glass. But let me tell you why they're saying that. So they have the little video.
I ain't get cut by no glass, but let me tell you why they saying that.
Okay, she says, I ain't get cut by no glass, but let me tell you why they're saying that. It says, why are they saying that? It says, stepping into the truth, glass or gunshot. It says, in the following videos, 1, 2, 3, 4A, and 4B, show Megan Thee Stallion injured at the scene, stating she was cut by glass and not shot. Officers on site also confirmed that she stepped on a glass bottle. These clips are key in understanding the initial reports and the and shift in her later statements. Okay, so we're gonna play the first video, Exhibit 1.
What's that? Do you think we're gonna go to jail? I don't know. We're trying to figure it all out. As long as you guys cooperate with us and you guys tell us what happened, we'll go accordingly, okay? But if you guys are not telling us, if you guys are, then I really cannot go to jail. Okay. I cannot have that on my image. Okay. So how did that happen to you? Glass. Glass? Where? Where we were coming from. Hey, can we get a sheet for I'm not from here, so Okay. That's the only place you got shot at? That's the only place you got shot? I didn't get shot. Oh, you did it? Oh, man. I mean, no, yeah.
Okay, so there we have her basically saying the officer asking her the first time, hey, what happened, or and she said she stepped on glass. That was her admitting the first time that she stepped on glass. Let's go to Exhibit 2.
Shooting or anything? That's how we got dispatched.
Well, we have the gun here, and then we have other units. They're searching the house where it happened. So that's all we have so far.
So nothing happened in the vehicle.
No, we don't have any casings. No.
Okay, what you've been told.
And then there's some cash over. Looks like.
Was the person who got caught with the other people here that you have in handcuffs? Were they all together?
They were all together.
Yes, they were all in the same car.
Okay. And then, do we know how she got cut?
I believe when she stepped down, there's a glass.
She dropped a glass bottle, and then I think she stepped on it and cut herself. Okay. Getting out of the vehicle.
Okay. So her friends didn't cut her then.
Right.
Well.
Okay, so you hear the officers saying there, they say she stepped out of the vehicle, dropped the glass bottle, and stepped on it. Okay. So as she was getting out, she stepped on the glass bottle. And that's what they're reporting at the scene of the crime. And this is what they're saying, I'm guessing, to their supervisor. Okay, let's go to Exhibit 3.
It's right down the floor.
Yeah.
No, we have passengers that are in the vehicle.
Okay, so you kind of see the bottle. You see the glass bottle right there where the officer is looking. You can see the glass bottle. Apparently, this is what she stepped on. You can see the contents of the bottle are obviously somehow wasted out. Now, the bottle to me right now it doesn't look broken unless they're talking about this, which looks like it's shoes, if I'm not mistaken. These look like shoes. Okay, I don't know what this is, but this is I'm guessing this is the bottle in question unless there's more than one bottle. Okay, let's move to 4A.
She cut herself when she stepped out.
Okay, what did it say? Let's replay that.
She cut herself when she stepped out.
Okay, that's the officer saying she cut herself when she stepped out. Okay?
Move back inside my voice.
Move back.
Back.
Oh, she cut herself.
Okay, and that's another officer. So that's two officers, both of them saying, this one saying, "Oh, she cut herself." This guy saying she cut herself when she stepped out. And then she says, "I can't have this on my image." Okay, this is what she immediately said afterwards before they got into any of the, what she was immediately saying when talking to the officers was, "I can't have this on my image." Okay, so now in her own words, it says the police bitch was being so rude.
I get to the motherfucking hospital, the police bitch being so rude to me. Well, what's going on? Like, da-da-da-da, you're being detained, da-da-da. I'm being detained, I'm leaking. But I'm still not saying what happened. Shit crazy.
Okay, but what happened in the hospital? They asked. It says, what did Megan say happened in the hospital? It says, police calmly spoke with Megan, who said she stepped on glass and mentioned she already had cuts on her right foot from stepping on glass days before. Days before. Okay, let's play that.
And so what happened was you were just one ball slip on the glass. I don't really cut my right foot. I just stepped on glass the other day. So you were already hurt. You got to the reference. And then at that point, you're trying to see over and down to the hospital.
Okay, so that's her talking, and she says, "I had another cut on my right foot. I just stepped on glass the other day." That's what she says, okay? So in her own words, she says, "I tried to keep it off the internet. However, Megan spoke first," it says, okay?
So, since y'all hoes so worried about it, yes, this nigga Tory shot me. You shot me. And you got your publicists and your people going to these blogs lying and shit. Stop lying. Why lie? I don't understand. I tried to keep the situation off the internet.
Okay, so that's her saying she tried to keep the situation off the internet. Now, real quick, if I may pause for a second. Now, while going through this makes me wonder again, okay, why would, out of everything going on, if you stepped on glass, this, that, the third, why would she just out of nowhere just come to the conclusion and just wake up one day and say that, you know what, I'm going to tell the world that Tory shot me? That's what I don't understand right now. And I'm trying to be a little bit neutral, and I'm trying to be, do my job here and report neutrally a little bit. A little bit right now. But when it comes to this Tory shit, it's like it's too much weird shit going on in this case for me to remain, a little bit too unbiased. But I'm trying to be neutral right now and really ask what made her want to wake up this day and record this live and say, you know what, Tory was the one that shot me. Okay, that I have to ask, and we have to revisit these questions and reevaluate all of this stuff over again. Okay, so it says, however, Megan spoke first. So it says the timeline contradicts Megan's claims. Megan claims she spoke out in response to Tory, but the timeline shows she went public first. So they have more exhibits. It says nothing negative as this. This is why I don't want to say nothing in the first place. This would have never came out if Tory would have never went to the internet telling everybody his side of the story. Okay, that's what she says. It says, terrible because I didn't want to say anything in the first place. I think that's the same thing. I didn't want to say anything in the first place. So not only did I not say anything, but now you want to get ahead of it and make yourself look like some type of victim. Why did you not want? Why you did not want to you saying anything? What? Why you did not want to you saying anything in the first place? They said objection, asked and answered. So these are, I guess, court documents. So what was your plan in the first, when this first happened, as far as what you would say? It says, I wasn't going to say anything. I didn't want it to go anywhere. I'm embarrassed. It says, I know you told the police that you stepped on broken glass. About 4 days later, did you come forward to tell the police who shot you? She said, yes. And was that to a detective? She said, yes. She says, in those 4 days, what brought about the change of heart? She says, I had a change of heart because I saw online that he had tried to start getting ahead of the story and put it on a bunch of different narratives about what happened. So how did that make you feel, they ask? And I guess that's where it goes on. So they have a detailing. This is a little timeline here. This is 7/15/2020. 7/15/2020. What are you doing, bro? This is Anakin in the cut. You see, I got the chicken nuggets on deck, but he got to get out of here. You got to find your own way, my boy. So this is the first day that anyone posted anything according to this timeline. Okay, this was Megan posting on Instagram. It says the narrative that is being reported about Sunday morning's events are inaccurate, and I'd like to set the record straight. On Sunday morning, I suffered gunshot wounds as a result of a crime that was committed against me and done with the intention to physically harm me. I was never arrested. The police officers drove me to the hospital where I underwent surgery to remove the bullets. I'm incredibly grateful to be alive and that I'm expected to make a full recovery. But it was important for me to clarify the details about this traumatic night. I'm currently focused on my recovery so I can return back to my life and back to making music as soon as possible. Okay. So, and then the next day she names Daystar to the police. Okay. So then it says Megan goes live on Tory's birthday. She goes live on his birthday. All right. This is the live where, you know, she kind of was getting upset about people making fun of her, etc., etc. Then it says Megan publicly names Daystar as the shooter on Instagram Live that we're currently watching. Okay. Then it says, to my fans, I'm sorry for my silence, but respectfully, I got time today, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay. This is when Tory tweets for the first time, nearly a entire month after Megan's first post. And no, nearly 2 months after Megan's first post. And 2 months after, a month after she actually goes live to even name him as the shooter. Okay, please, can you leave me alone for like 2 seconds, bro? So this is the, I'm guessing, the more accurate timeline in how things went. Okay. So in her own words, it says, I never put my hands on anybody. This is when she was with her Gayle King.
I never put my hands on anybody. I never raise my voice too loud. Like, this was one of them times where it was like, it shouldn't have got this crazy.
It shouldn't have escalated to the way that it did.
So I get out the car and it's like everything happens so fast. And all I hear is this man screaming. He said, dance. He started shooting. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Can you leave me alone?
Like, he shot a couple of times.
Look at this nigga. Look at him. Like, bro, why are you beasting? No, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. You go down there. Thank you. All right. So that's her Gayle King interview. And this is her basically putting on the waterworks. Y'all see it. And she wants to convince everybody that I didn't put my hands on anybody. Okay? Remember that. But evidence says otherwise. Megan and Kelsey had a physical altercation, as we all know. Why this discrepancy isn't talked about more? Because, you know, obviously, as it was being told to us throughout this time, well, that doesn't really matter. None of that matters. She was shot. She's a victim. See, when all of this stuff was being presented, when we were asking questions about all of these things, remember, they were telling us that shit does not matter. None of this shit matters. Remember, this is what they were telling us. So it says eyewitness and physical evidence indicate a physical fight between Megan Pete and Kelsey Harris. Kelsey had open wounds and cuts on her leg that were actively bleeding. No injuries were reported on Tory Lanez. The fight was between the women. Okay. So this is the Exhibit 7. Okay, you can see the knot on Shorty's head. These scratches all fucking over the place, like crazy. Like, come on, we're not going to talk about how the fuck Kelsey got these scratches. Nobody was allowed to talk about this. We wasn't going to bring this up. Like, come on. Which it was brought up, and I guess I don't understand. I just don't understand. This shit is crazy. It says, this is Megan's song lyrics from Shots Fired. It says, who a snitch? I ain't never went to the police with no names. I thought a bitch got her chain snatched cause a loss had something to say. This bitch is trash. Oh my fucking God. Y'all, this is what y'all jacking? Oh, Megan she's one of the top female rappers. If y'all bitches don't shut the fuck up, she'll slap the taste out y'all motherfucking. In her own words, there's a witness, she says, and his name is Sean Kelly. Okay.
The people in the neighborhood, there's a witness. When the police.
That's crazy. She named Sean Kelly all the way back then. Come on, you buffering and shit? What is this shit doing? She buffering, but whatever. It says, in her own words, there was a witness, and his name was Sean Kelly. So Sean Kelly's
witness. When the police came, because the
yeah, we don't need you. We got that. It's not that serious. So Sean Kelly's testimony says, eyewitness Sean Kelly told police in 8A and later testified under oath that he saw two women fighting in the streets. So let's play this first. Why the fuck is all this shit buffering? Hold on, let me refresh this because I can't with this buffering shit.
Wait.
They shot out of the car?
The windows were open, that's why it sounded like either way. Yeah, I didn't know they were on my side. The girl opened the door, two girls fighting, and then they shot. And she got out of the car and crawled over.
Okay. So he said it was two women fighting. That's what he reportedly said. Okay. That was his testimony, and that's what we also see here. When in the report, is this the report? Yeah, this is the report. Okay, or the transcript. So let's read that real quick. It says, "And what did you see next, sir?" He says, "They were fighting. They had started. They had started fighting." He says, "The two girls." He said, "Yes." It says, "And when you say the two girls were fighting, could you describe to the jury what you observed?" He says, "What they were doing and what they were fighting about, not about, but how they were fighting. They were pulling hair and hitting each other. It was quite violent. It was quite violent. This is initially when you still only see the two girls, correct?" He said, "Yes." He said, "And what happened at this point? Was the fighting continuing or it was stopped?" He says they were fighting for a while because I had told my son to come into the room and asked him to get into my bed and then they were still still fighting. They was all bent over, sort of wrapped in each other, fighting. Okay, illegible shit. So Sean Kelly's testimony. So he testified that two women were fighting and only one of them fired the first few shots while Tory was still in the car. He said Tory got out afterwards and tried to take the gun away. Okay, so he said, "Okay, did you state, sir, that that the shorter gentleman didn't come out of the car until the initial shot fireworks had started?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Excuse me?" He said, "Yes." So when the initial shot of fireworks has started, isn't it true you stated that my client was still in the car? He says, "Yeah, I believe so." He says, "The shorter gentleman was in the car?" He said, "Yes." So, okay. "And did you state that initially you saw the two girls fighting?" He said, "I did, yes." Did you say that after you saw the two girls fighting, you saw one of the girls shoot, sir?" He says, "I believe so." What are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing here, ladies and gentlemen? Do you not hear what I'm reading? Thereafter, did you say that the shorter guy got involved at that point, trying to take the gun away? They said objecting. It was leading. It was overruled. They said, "Is that what you said?" The witness said, "Yeah." Okay. So Sean Kelly's statement to investigators. All right. He says, in a separate interview, Sean Kelly said he saw Kelsey and Megan fighting violently, with Kelsey, a rear passenger, attacking Megan, front passenger, the driver. Jaquan tried to intervene. He stated that a woman fired the gun while Tory Lanez, described as the short black guy, was still in the back seat of the SUV. There is no way Tory fired a gun 5 times. It's impossible. Nigga, fuck is you talking about? Let's get to this.
The doors of the Escalade open and...
This is just crazy. Some crazy shit. I gotta refresh this motherfucker again. Come on. Oh, let's get a quick refresh, because this shit be tripping out.
The doors of the Escalade open and the girl come out and pull open the passenger door and started screaming and yelling at somebody in the car.
So the girl who came out of the passenger, you're talking about the front passenger?
No, the rear.
The rear passenger. So the girl comes out of the rear passenger and she goes to the front passenger?
Yes.
And she opens up the car door?
Yes.
And then what happens?
They start they're screaming and shouting at each other and they start fighting.
The two girls?
Yeah, I can see one like feet coming out trying to kick her and the other one's fighting, and then the passenger gets out.
So the girl who does the punching and the kicking is the girl that comes out of the back passenger?
The front. Can we stop there? Because I don't want to. I'll tell you, and then I want to go. My son's on his own.
Yeah, I understand. And it's loud with the cars.
I don't really want to. So basically, the car stopped. Girl in the back got out, started screaming and shouting, ripped the door, pulled the door open, but pulled it so sort of viciously that why I presume the driver got out. She starts screaming. She starts hitting the girl. The girl on her side, her feet come out. She starts to kick the girl away. Passenger. They get out. They start fighting here. They start fighting. The driver comes round and tries to sort of break it up. It gets a bit more violent. And between them, the girl then climbs back into the front driver passenger seat.
Where's the shorter black guy?
He's in the back.
He's in the back of the car? Okay.
Now, while all this, you just heard, while all this shit is going on, Tory is sitting in the back seat. While all this shit is going on. Now, mind you, this bitch is over here, made the entire story seem like she was only arguing with Tory, and Tory got mad because she said his music is this and this. She made this whole, oh my God. Oh my God. Yo. A bitch gotta go to jail. A bitch gotta go to jail. So, yo, this is crazy. She made this whole narrative about her and Tory arguing. She didn't say nothing about her and Kelsey fighting. Walk with me. Please, walk with me and Congresswoman Luna real quick, okay?
Then,
this shit is crazy. It's buffering shit, man. Let me just refresh.
Then, the gun. Then the girl shoots it.
Whoa, what was that? What was that?
The gun. And the girl shoots it.
And the girl shoots. And the girl shoots.
The driver's door's open.
You're seeing the girl shoot?
Can I help you? I think, is it this house?
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
So you see the girl doing the shooting?
I see what appears to be the girl standing here and going shooting into the car. That's what it looked like to me. But it was dark, and I'm above, so. But then the guy gets out again from the back.
Then he says, and then the guy gets out. So they're breaking this down. I seen 2 girls get out. I see 2 girls fighting. I see while they're fighting, Tory is still in the car. And then I see a girl shoot. Okay? Walk with us. Like, come on. Like, so sworn eyewitness testimony. Okay? So it says key eyewitness corroborates Sean Kelly's story. It says together the statements of Smith, James, and Kelly paint a consistent picture. 2 women were fighting. A woman fired the gun. Tory tried to de-escalate the situation. Okay? Now, these are a little bit smaller. This is a sworn affidavit from Tory's bodyguard. And this is Kelsey's trial bodyguard. And let me see if I can actually read that. I was going to skip over it. This one is a little smaller. But I'm going to read Exhibit 11. Exhibit 10 is a little bit tiny, but we don't have to read every single one. But it says Miss Kelsey Harris hired elite security to accompany her to court the 2 days she was still testifying. This was the only time she had been a client. I have not worked for Daystar Peterson or in Megan Pete. I heard these statements as we were driving in the car, getting a bite to eat after the court. We went to a restaurant named Fixin's. Miss Harris and the father of her child were the only people in the car. She later also said similar statements to her attorney of record, the front of the courthouse, and the cafeteria. She was nervous and speaking generally, asking questions. Her lawyer was telling her it would be okay and she would plead the 5th if she was uncomfortable. He said, I heard Miss Harris question How can I not tell on myself? And how am I protected if I tell certain things? If the father of her child explained immunity to her, at Fixins, Miss Harris stated that she shot the gun 3 times in the air, and Daystar Peterson ran up to her and grabbed her arm, pushing it down and causing the gun to fire twice more. I have not said these statements until now. He says I've heard I've heard rumors of the threats that others received from being involved in this case. Also, I did not want to lose my employment as I rely on such to care for my children. I was trying not to eavesdrop, but I could not help but overhear these statements. It says generally elite security does not follow confidentiality, yet we do not have such an agreement on file. And I decided to come forward as this has been weighing on my conscience, and I decided it would be the right thing to do is come forward with this information, respectfully submitted this 28th day of August. Okay. So EJ's testimony suggests the guns was in a girl's bag. So EJ King, Megan's former stylist, and an object in her purse. He said an object in her purse looked like a handgun. EJ said he may have seen things that looked like a gun in the bag or purse, but he never asked questions or confirmed what they were. This adds to the reasonable doubt if Kelsey had the gun. There's a great possibility that Tory cannot be the shooter. Okay, if he's not even the owner of the gun, they're not even looking at the owner of the gun. They're looking at Tory just for whatever reason. So it says you can't tell us for sure it's a handgun, but you've seen something like a handgun. Is that fair to say? He says yes. They say, sir, when we were upstairs just a few minutes ago, do you recall stating that you have seen things that look like handguns? He says, oh yeah, it looked like that. It looks like, but like I said, if I picked it up, no, but something like it, yes. Well, let me ask you this. You may have not picked that up, and you're telling us you don't know if it's an actual working firearm, correct? He said, right. Have you seen anything in any of the bags or any time you've been out with security? Have you seen anything that resembled something that looked like a weapon, a firearm? He says, possibly, yes. He says, what do you mean, possibly? Is that a yes? Is that a yes, sir? He says, yes, possibly. I don't go through them or check for a firearm, but I may have seen stuff in bags that I packed, but like I said, I haven't. You never ask questions. You never ask, what is this? Is that a firearm? He said, no. So Harris' testimony is also inconsistent and unreliable. Okay, Kelsey Harris initially told prosecutors she witnessed the shooting, but later recanted on the stand, admitting she lied under pressure. Her Fifth Amendment plea and contradictions compelled the prosecution to introduce her prior statements in full, highlighting her unreliability. Her credibility was compromised, raising reasonable doubt. Okay, plenty of reasonable doubt. So it says, I can't tell, these are just a few exhibits from that. She says, I can't tell you the time, but yes, July 12th, 2020. They said, and you saw what happened during that shooting, didn't you? He says, I mean, again, no. The way I was positioned, honestly, no. They say, okay, in September, when you interviewed with us, it was not a blur, correct? She said, again, I said things to protect myself that night. They said, okay, well, you said, she said that day, they said, you said it's a blur. You're trying to protect yourself, but you're telling us you didn't see anything or you didn't hear anything. It's a blur. Is that right? She said, I didn't see anything. They say, again, I spoke with you. I said a few different things. They said, did you shoot Tory, or excuse me, did you shoot Megan? She said, no. They said, who shot Megan? She said, again, when I was getting, so, I mean, Kelsey is effectively lying on under oath because she's the one who shot Meg. It said, when I was getting out of the car all I heard was gunshots. I didn't actually see. It said, did you tell us that when you looked at maybe the second or third gunshot, that's when you seen Tory and he's still in the front seat and he must have jumped over to over the front seat and he's leaning over the door over the window? Or do you remember telling us that? She says, again, our interview was not 100% truthful. She is saying this on the stand verbatim. Or is telling you niggas my statement was not truthful. She's telling you I was lying. She's telling you niggas I'm lying. Yo, man. I don't know what else you got to say or what else you have to. They should have just striked her entire testimony at this point. It says Kelsey Harris testified under oath that no bribery occurred. No financial records or corroborating evidence supported the bribery claim. Okay, she said there's also been a lot of talk about bribery, and I want to, before I go into the facts, I want to talk about them. Has my client paid you anything? She says no. There is talk about hush money. That means hush money that Megan's people have put out there. My client paid any money to you, ma'am? She said no. And I would actually like to make that very clear because I seen some things earlier from her attorney, and I'm tired of I'm tired of that lie. So no. She says I never. This is her again. She says I never asked them to. And then he said, got it. They said, give me a spot. They did this voluntarily for a year, which was not normal. So this is her. She says after the incident, Kelsey received rent for an entire year after not speaking with Megan since the incident, covered by Megan's team. The term they has been used repeatedly, but why? It says. So in her own words, once again, he is standing up over the window shooting.
In the car, shooting from the car, Megan?
He is standing up over the window, shooting.
This is what she said multiple times. But he never touched the gun. So again, they're asking the question, if Tory never touched the gun, because his DNA is not on the gun, witnesses are saying they seen a female shooting after you was fighting the bitch. At what point was Tory shooting? How is it possible that he was shooting? So this is when I start to look at the people who are saying, well, you know, I'm starting to think that Megan was also a pawn in this. Nah, because this is you actively being a lying ass bitch. This doesn't have anything to do with you being a pawn. This has everything to do with you just blatantly lying. You're just blatantly lying right now. Okay? It says a forensic expert tested that 90% of DNA on the weapon belonged to an unknown male, not Tory Lanez. His DNA was not found on the magazine. Software used for the analysis had documented instability for potential and potential for false matches. An expert testified that if Tory Lanez had fired the gun 5 times, his DNA would be expected on the weapon, but it wasn't found. Female DNA was found on the gun. Kelsey tested positive for GNR, but her DNA was never tested again against the gun. It says Tory Lanez was not on the magazine and only 0.01% on the firearm. This is the amount. This amount is incredibly small, equivalent to picking a blade of grass from a football field. So they have all the exhibits right here where they are going through and asking. I'm not going to read all the stuff with the experts. We kind of get what they just summed up right here, where they're, asking about the DNA found on the guns and so on and so forth. Okay. It says FYI, Tory Lanez's defense expert didn't receive the STR mix worksheet until the last minute due to a Brady violation. The worksheet, only turned over at the defense request, showed Tory Lanez was just 0.01% contributor to the gun and excluded on the magazine. limiting the defense ability to properly challenge the DNA evidence. So it says the prosecution used up all the DNA samples so it could not be retested. That's basically what they did. They're fucking him at every fucking corner. All right? So in her own words, once again, she said, why would I lie?
Why would I lie? You want me to be a bad person so bad, and y'all motherfuckers want to believe the lie before you believe the truth.
Can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just saying, like, you really could not make this shit up. Okay? Text message evidence appears edited. Okay? Mind you, I believe this is the text message evidence that was released by her team. Okay? So text message used in court differed from versions shared publicly by Megan's team. You lying, dirty, nasty ass, skank, dirty ass, thought ass bitches. Fuck is you talking about? Why do you have to lie if you are here to put forth the truth? Why do you gotta play games if you bitches is all about empowering black people, empowering black women, empowering this, empowering that? What the fuck are you lying for? This is why niggas don't trust you. This is a summary of why niggas don't like Megan Thee Stallion now. This is a summary of it. This is a summary of why niggas don't get down with this bitch. What are you lying for? It doesn't make any sense. Why do you have to doctor text messages if the truth is on your side? If God is on your side, if all this shit is on your side, why do you have to pull all of these underhanded, fucking weird ass tactics that you bitches have been pulling so that this case can go through how you want it? This shit don't make no sense. This is sad. This is real sad. I'm just keeping it a buck. This is sad. Now, we heard rumblings of the messages being fake. But let's really look at how they kind of screwed it. So this was what was submitted to court on the left. And this is the different version on the right. So they kind of add in Tory shot Meg and handled me. Just added in weird shit. Doing weird, like, for what? For what? It says missing phrases raise questions about whether the evidence presented to the jury and now the public was selectively edited or incomplete. How do we know when niggas is telling the truth? How can we trust you? This is why, you know, a lot of you dumbass bitches, and I gotta get disrespectful for a minute because these are the same bitches who are out here cheering on a nigga. They watched that video yesterday and they cheered. They laughed. They kikied. These same stupid ass dumbass bitches are sitting here and they look at all of this evidence being brought forward and they don't question it. They don't give a fuck. They don't care. They don't, you know what I'm saying? I mean, when you sit here and when we're asking questions like this and we're looking stuff like this in the face, how can you get mad at us? How can you get mad at us? How can you call us misogynist? How can you tell us that we hate women? How can you tell us that we're these fucked up individuals who don't care about black women and black women are unprotected, this, that, the third. How can you tell us all of this when we're looking evidence and when we're looking fuckery like this in the face? All over this case, just riddled all over this fucking case. Let's continue. It says in her own words, the dance bitch shit. Did he really say that?
And all I hear is this man screaming. He said dance.
Then you got the dance bitch shit. The sugar on top, you know, the icing on the cake. She had to spice it up a little bit, I'm guessing. It says audio undermines the dance bitch claim. Okay? Now public ring camera audio confirms 5 gunshots, but does not capture Tory Lanez saying dance bitch. We're gonna play the ring camera audio again. Okay. So nowhere do we hear anyone yelling out dance bitch. It says, could you hear the conversation? Correct. They said, yeah, quite clearly. They said, when you got out of the car, did anybody say dance bitch? It said, did you hear a word? Did anybody say anything? Dance bitch. They said, no, I did. I don't know where that came from. That this was Sean Kelly's testimony, and Kelsey Harris testified that they did not hear Tory make this statement. Okay. So this was just another thing that we were pointing out during the trial. Like, okay, why the fuck would you just throw that in there? Where the fuck did this dance bitch shit come in at? Well, why the fuck would you just toss that in there? Like, oh yeah, he said dance bitch too. Like, why would you say that? These are all the things. It's not just one thing. It was evidence on lie on lie on evidence on lie on missing evidence in this case that all piled up to make people say, yo, what the fuck is this bitch talking about? Niggas then just sit here and like how you bitches is doing and just defending the motherfucker because it's Tory Lanez or because it's a nigga or because we fuck with his music. We're looking at all of this shit and we're saying, well, if this bitch is lying about simple shit like a nigga getting out the car shooting her and saying, dance, bitch, dance, then what else is she lying about? In her own words, once again, she says, I thought the doctors were the police.
I get to the hospital, the doctors do x-rays on my feet. Oh, ma'am, you got bullets in your feet, got bullet fragments in your other foot. I'm thinking the doctors is the police, so I'm still trying not to tell them, like, no, I didn't know I got you know what I'm saying? I'm scared. Like, I've never been shot before. I don't have to lie about that.
Then it says, which doctor, Megan? Medical facts don't match the narrative. So we got the doctor's reports, their pictures, everything. These bitches is not playing with your ass. Boom. They just dropping the hammer on his bitch. Yeah, we got to give Congresswoman Luna one for this. She's not playing. Very thorough. It says Dr. Anthony Lofriendo, whatever his name is, described the injury as a laceration from broken glass. There's no mention of a gunshot wounds, fragments, or ballistic trauma. He also described Megan as pleasant and in no acute distress. What does that mean? Dr. Milton Little diagnosed bilateral gunshot wounds based on imaging. He removed 3 small fragments under general anesthesia. So Megan was not even conscious when this was going on. And called wounds superficial. That's what his words, not mine. Yet performed the surgery. Claimed fragments were bagged and given to police. This is what he claimed. So he felt that the entire thing, I guess they were maybe pushing him along to say, or to push a narrative, or to, you know, conduct something and remove fragments and just push him along to say, you know, to that, so that there would be a somewhat of a paper trail of these things being documented, right? But even he himself called the operation superficial. This is crazy. The third doctor, she's this is Dr. Anna Howell. She's described as a wound, and she described wounds as superficial as well. Oh. And clearly and cleanly closed. X-ray showed no fracture, minimal residue, shrapnel. Dr. Howell treated for cellulitis infection, discharged without. So she discharged her without a mention of any ballistic trauma. Okay,
bruh.
Okay. No mention of ballistic trauma. No, this is 3 doctors. None of them are really saying definitively, yes, this person was shot. Okay. Forensic red flags and medical doubt. Key medical findings. I wish my boy K Mills was here. If you listen to K Mills, bro, please. I need my nurse on hand right now because we getting into it. But these are the key medical findings. It says radiology report. So no radio pack foreign bodies. No bullet fragments clearly visible on the X-ray. Sheesh. Estimated blood loss, only 5 milliliters. Far too low for gunshot wounds to both feet. Wound closure. Wounds were closed immediately. Uncommon for gunshot injuries due to infection risk. No bone or joint damage. Rare for true gunfire related foot injuries. Bullet fragments removed by Dr. Little but never preserved. Detectives admitted in court that the fragments were lost. They were just lost. Just picked up legs and walked out. Conflicting diagnosis, broken glass, gunshot wounds, cellulitis, plastic surgery from Dr. Howell. Much of this evidence was never presented at trial. Tory Lanez's original trial counsel joined the case late, limiting the defense's ability to investigate these medical inconsistencies. So a lot of this stuff was not even presented to the jury. Like, damn. So the fragments went missing. At preliminary hearings, detectives stated bullet fragments were missing. Prosecutors later claimed LAPD had them an inconsistency suggesting evidence, mismanagement or miscommunication. Prosecutors claim the LAPD still has the bullet fragments allegedly removed from Megan's foot, yet during the preliminary hearing, Detective Ryan Strogner stated the fragments were missing. If LAPD had the fragments, why did the lead investigator testify in this manner? The chain of custody comes to question with such clear error. This casts doubt on the integrity of the completeness of the investigation. Like, what are we doing? What the fuck is we doing? Where the evidence at? So it says now the bullet fragments, which were allegedly removed from Megan's ankles, they can't be located, correct? And he said, correct. They just had that highlighted right there. It says Megan's faulty claims and med records. So they're just pointing this out in it says on August 17th, she went to the club with an ace bandage on her left foot, despite claiming to have been shot in both feet. Okay, in both, despite that. So she says, yes, I couldn't walk for a while, and I couldn't feel the side of my left foot. Said, did you have nerve damage? She says, yes, I still have nerve damage. It said, and what do you mean by that? Let me just no bone or joint damage. Okay. Wound closure. Okay. I didn't see anything about nerves, but I'm pretty sure that goes into with the joint shit. So it says there was also no sign of nerve damage. Okay, so I had to. That's why I scrolled up, because I'm like, well, so there also was no sign of nerve damage per the doctor's testimony, even though Megan insisted she suffered nerve damage. So the moments that showed Tory cared. So contrary to popular belief, Tory showed care and concern for Megan.
Address that the incident occurred? The shooting happened?
Nah, I don't know that
No?
address, bro. I was just trying to help my girlfriend. 1 second, bro.
Stay right here for me, bro.
Let's go.
Hey, we got an ambulance coming for her. Okay? Hey, bro, step up right here. We got an ambulance coming for her. All right.
Just a quick question.
She's gonna be good.
Do you have any injuries on you?
No, I don't.
You need an R.
I'll come for your friend now, okay?
And then you hear him also saying that he doesn't have any injuries on him.
Do you want to talk about what happened tonight? Your girl to safety?
So there he says, I'm just worried about my girl's safety, okay? So misinterpreted apology, what Tory really meant. So it says, many have pointed to Tory Lanez's jail call as an admission of guilt in the shooting, but this is a misrepresentation. Tory has publicly clarified that his apology was never about a shooting, but about the drama caused by sleeping with two close friends and getting caught. He acknowledged that his actions created a volatile situation, but firmly stated, I would never do anything like this. So prosecutorial misconduct and concerns. The prosecutors intended to use Tory Lanez's rap lyrics, tattoos, and uncharged prior incidents to prejudge the jury, or prejudice the jury. Sorry. Mentioning Tory Lanez's right to not testify potentially violated his constitutional protections. Tory Lanez's choice to testify is not a protected constitutional. Tory Lanez's choice to testify or not is a protected constitutional right. The fact that a defendant does not testify on his own behalf should not be fodder or for the courts, nor interpreted it as guilt. Okay, so justice requires clarity, fairness, facts, not assumptions. Okay, so I also want to get to this audio, if we can get to that lastly, before we move on and do a little speed run through this Diddy trial shit. Okay. Because I seen somebody post that as well. Let me just see if I can get that up real quick. Maybe that is not as valid. Okay, or yeah, that is the way. Yeah, we played the audio. Sorry. So that is the audio, and that wasn't presented at trial. That was the audio. How was that audio? How was that audio not presented at trial? Okay. That's crazy. So the audio was that of Sean Kelly I guess I kind of got it mixed up. I thought it was a female. Somebody posted a video of a female speaking on it, and I thought that was the audio. That might be or additional audio. But yeah, that seems to be the bombshell that we're seeing with Tory Lanez, and it's just crazy that you could have a whole trial. And this is why I said we went into this shit with, we walked out of it with more questions than we went into it, because when you look at all of this evidence, when you look at all of this stuff, I mean, these people created an entire website. They were not playing. And we just went through the entire thing here. I mean, first and foremost, free Tory Lanez, okay? Free fucking Tory Lanez. This is some bullshit, okay? We should never have this shit going on. It's ridiculous that we do have this shit going on. But, I mean, it is what it is. Tory's out here fighting for his life. You know what I'm saying? Boy's out here fighting for his life. But, I mean, and on top of that, they trying to get him silenced. They trying to get him knocked off. Do y'all not hear what I'm saying? Like, they trying to get the man knocked off right now. It's crazy that we are sitting here and I want to see what's the rebuttal. Matter of fact, we can even. I want to see what's the rebuttal for the bitter bitch from the bitter bitch committee. Okay? Look, none of this is new. This was all presented in court. This proves nothing. Look. They say y'all still think he walking. So 5 years later, a mysterious recording appears. Yeah, AI gonna have a lot of you suckers in prison again. They calling it AI. These bitches is calling it AI. I just look. This is what I'm telling you. Okay, this is why I've been saying this shit for the longest. Okay, I've been saying this shit for the longest. Once a bitch says you did something, there is a group of women. Okay? There is a group of women who are going to believe you did it no matter fucking what. Alright, my niggas? This is why niggas gotta move tact. This is why, when so many people don't understand the whole Zoe Spencer situation and what's going on with that, and they might feel like, shorty's not really being treated right or whatever. But at the end of the day, this is why niggas gotta like really be careful with how they move. They really gotta be careful with how they move around these shorties nowadays, because it could easily be donezo for you. Okay, it could easily be case closed. All right, so it's because of shit like this. It's because we know once certain shit is on our jacket, like how what's being done to DDG. It's because we know when certain shit is on your jacket, it's donezo. It's a wrap, nigga. It's a hit to your career. You don't even want to be around it. This make you not want to be around the bitches. I ain't gonna hold you. You don't want to really, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't really even want to be around too many joints like that. Like, you just gotta find a couple solid ones and just hold it down. Like, I'm not holding you. Like, this shit is crazy. So as you see, there's going to be a crowd of people. I'm not even going to go through the whole slew of it. We're going to get to the Diddy stuff. But as you can see, there is going to be a crowd of people who are going to just, they're going to jack this shit no matter what. No matter what, okay? So let's get to the Diddy stuff, because I do got to move on. We're on crunch time right now. So let me get to day 12, all right? We're going to get back to Deontay Nash, getting back to him and seeing what he has to say as far as cross-examination goes, okay? So again, this is Deontay Nash. This is who we're getting back to for the Diddy trial stuff, and we'll get to some more. We'll be continue to cover more Tory Lanez stuff. I know guys really want to sit here and talk about this. I'm pretty sure there'll be some spaces. So go ahead and invite me to some spaces, and we can break down the Tory Lanez stuff even further. And I'm sure some of my boys will be having spaces tonight. So yeah, if you want to get into more of that with me, and yeah, just keep a lookout. Hit your bell notifications if you're on X. Hit that bell notification so you can be notified every time I tweet, whenever I hop into a space and speak. And yeah, you can stay in tune, because I'm pretty sure this is about to be an ongoing conversation, and you'll probably see me doing some more videos about this in the near future, okay, as things progress. So let's get to the Diddy stuff. As I said, we're getting back to Deontay Nash, the cross of him, okay? So before the jury comes in, it says Alexandra Shapiro. It says the articles in the scrapbook are not being offered for the truth, she says. The articles say that Combs wanted to get to the bottom of Biggie's murder, but the feds are investigating us. They've been trying to get this in. It says if it went back to the jury room as evidence, it could be prejudicial to the prosecution, but to let the jurors look at it as a demonstrative. Okay, so let's get back to where Nash comes in. Okay, so they say all rise. He says, how are you? He says, blessed. They show him some text. He says, they asked, what was Capricorn Clark's role in 2011, the mixtape? He says he says she was gone. What did she work on when she was there? He said, maybe the photo shoot you guys showed yesterday. I learned a lot from Capricorn, actually. Did you recall a picture of Cassie and green hair? He said, that was a group idea. I walked the carpet with Cassie in New York at the VMAs. It was a curated look. He says, they asked, you had to get approval? He says, yes, from Puff. You say Mr. Combs was kicking Cassie on the ground, the unfortunate eye gash incident, correct? They say, yes. Excuse me. You didn't tell the prosecutor she was kicked while bleeding. He says, they didn't ask. I only answered what they asked. You know Cassie was in a relationship with Kid Cudi while she was in a relationship with Mr. Combs. He says, oh, okay. You didn't know? He says, I thought she and Puff had broken up. He said, Cassie was in South Africa. You were at Revolt conference in Miami, correct? He says, yes. I was there to style Lil' Kim. So he says, yes, I put her together with Michael B. Jordan. I mean, he fine. She fine. Why not? Pause. Judge said, hold on. The defense comes back. They say, so Gina was in Miami too? He says, no. You don't put that on me. They kept me away from seeing Gina. They said, Cassie got upset. He said, Nash said, she said, why does she keep humiliating me in my career? They said, was she upset? He said, not really. You set her up with Michael B. Jordan? He said, yes. And Mia drove it home, making sure she had his number. So Bad Boy employees set her up with Michael B. Jordan. He said, that's Michael B. Jordan. Don't mess that up. Said, do you know Andre Brock? He said, no. You were aware Cassie was in a relationship with Andre Brock? He says, oh, the cute football player? Yes, but I never met him. And in 2016, with Brandon of the NBA, I'm sorry. She says, he continues, in these texts, you talk with Cassie about Michael B. Jordan. You say, no one better say shit to me. LY. He says, what is LY? He says, love you or maybe it's a typo. LY, you know everything. I don't remember. I'm sure we were being antagonized by your client. Cassie was upset by Gina. He said, she say, girl, let's go out and do our thing. Do what she wanted to do. He said, actually, we both are pretty chill. Stayed in the house a lot, but that would be fair. Let's read these messages. You do the blue, and I'll do the green. I'm guessing this is what he's meant. He says, oh, you got some names in here. She just go ahead. Where are you going? As Cassie, he says, a secret trip out town. Nash says, girl, and he laughs. He continues, good friends don't pry. That's not my method. I just replied, girl. Then they say, highlight the green part. Cassie is telling you on October 30th, 2013, after the incident with the cut on the face, she says, I've already been turning up too much. They say you saw her with a black eye on FaceTime around the time of the Intercontinental. He said, I saw it in person. When her makeup would wear off, could you see it? And then the judge says, let Mr. Donald ask you the question. It said, you read these. After Cassie says, this nigga is wasted, we both did the same. Nash says, is there a lot of people there? Oh, it's talking about a Gwen Stefani song. He said, take your broke ass home and ride into the sunset. And we did, he says. They ask, did she mention to you about having threesomes with other men? He said, ugh, no, she didn't tell me. Mr. Nash, read that to yourself, then lift up. On May 10th, 2025, you told the government the videos came from her phone. He said, no, I told them that he would tape. I told her that he would tape her on her. He would tape her on her phone. Isn't it true she said videos were from her phone? He's answered, he would record her on her phone. I stand firm on that. So he's saying Diddy would record her on her phone. You say Mr. Combs said you won't do this one thing for me. He said yes. You say Mr. Combs pointing in Cassie's face in The Blind Dragon, right? But you never told the government, right? The first you said is at trial. He said, I guess so. I gave them very little by phone. She said she didn't want to go. You helped her pick her clothes for court, they asked. She couldn't fit anything. She needed clothes. For the pregnancy? He said, right. On that Friday, after she finished, she called you and said, I'm done. He said, it wasn't like that. Did you get Cassie super high? He said, what? No, I did not. And then he said, then the judge says, Mr. Nash. Then they say Donaldson comes back and says and asks, this 29th birthday, you say she packed sex toys in her duffel bag from her bedroom, right? He says, correct. Mr. Combs didn't say grab the sex toys. He said they were going, and then I guess they were cut off. He says, on a golf cart. Let's talk about Vegas. And let me just show this real quick so you guys don't think that I'm just don't know how to read. But I'm going to have to get, call in and get the context of what is going on. Like I said, there's a lot going on with this guy here. And, what he's saying today and what he's doing right now. So I'm sure there's some context there, and it's almost time for me to start getting that breakdown soon. So let's continue. So it says, on the golf cart, let's talk about Las Vegas, New Year's 2016, 2017. You said you were told Cassie was sleeping all day. He says, correct. put up this image for the parties only. He says, what's this? He says, Cassie. The low budget producer mentioned was there. The low budget producer you mentioned was there. They ask. And he says, yes, right next to me, snoring. You say Cassie told you another man was coming over and asked you to leave. He said, both of us. He said, your reaction was sighs. He said, yes. You saw a man walking around knocking on the door and they let him in. He said, yes. They were not on drugs, right? He said, we were doing them in our separate places. Once I started working, I just started going. I was packing my 10 body bags. Huh? They said, then they went into a hotel, and again, she didn't tell you she didn't want to go, correct? He said, actually, she said she wanted to stay home, work on her music. He said, read the green. Enjoy y'all time together. Y'all don't get much of this. This is him reading the green. They come back and ask, that's you telling Cassie in January 2017 to enjoy her time with Puff, correct? He says yes. Cassie wrote, I spoke up for myself, and you wrote you wish you were with them on vacation. He said, no, I meant in Mexico, not with them. Cassie wrote, in the next room is on the beach. Cassie wrote, the next room is on the beach. This one on the golf course. I have everything organized. I wrote, he answers, LOL, do you have a lot of shit? Then they come back and ask, yes, but they come back and read and ask Cassie, says, yes, but we made it all fit. He says, girl, you always on vacation. They continue, and they come back and ask, they said, you stayed in touch with Mr. Combs? He says, yeah, because he was cutting up. They say, oh, I get it. You did a seafood thing with Cassie. He says, correct. You know Kim Porter, who tragically passed? He says, yes. You knew Andre Harrell passed? He says, yes. You texted Mr. Combs to make sure he's okay? He says, correct. Mr. Combs wrote to you, the trainer, you could have given me a heads up. Black heart emoji. How is she? He meant Cassie. He said, yes. In 2020, you wrote to Mr. Combs, I love you. Anything you need, I got you. He said, yes. Mr. Combs won an award that year and you congratulated him. He says, I don't think so. I asked how to RSVP for his party for someone else. Claire Solmers. Cassie told you about a secret trip. And then the prosecution objects. It's sustained. They say, you deeply care for Cassie for 15 years? He says, yes. She kept secrets from you. Did she? He says, and I do from her. We don't have to tell each other everything. Nothing further. They redirect. Prosecution comes back. Why were you afraid for her? He said, things could get violent fast. What devices did Mr. Combs use to film her? He said, hers. You said they appeared high at the 29th birthday party. He said, yes. Was Mr. Combs in control of his actions? He said, yes. What did you say? He said, you're going to get some dick tonight. Did she want to go? He said, no. No further questions. They say nothing from me. They say, Mr. Nash, you are excused. They are done with Mr. Nash. They bring in the next witness. The next witness comes in. They say, how do you wish to be identified? She says, Mia. Okay? So let's find Mia. Let's find Mia real quick. And maybe we can see, I'm guessing maybe this is Mia. There's a couple of different pictures here. So I don't know who exactly Mia is. Do we have her last name for Mia? Is she going to give us her last name? Okay, so Mia doesn't want to give her name, I'm guessing, or her full name. maybe we can get one of those yeah, sketches of her. So this is Mia. I guess this is as close as it's gonna get of Mia. Maybe someone else got a picture of her somewhere in trial, or maybe this is her. Oh, this says day one. But yeah, we'll just run with these pictures. Let's continue. So they said, don't show this exhibit. They say, what is it? She says, my passport. Says, show it for the jury only. So Brian Steele says, I would like to see it too. They ask, where are you from? She says, Virginia Beach, Virginia. Says, who is this? Sean Combs. What did you call him? She says, Puff. I worked for him as a personal assistant. Then as a director of development and acquisitions for Revolt Films. How was it working there? He says, Puff mood changed all the time. They asked, was he violent towards you? He says, yes. He thrown things at me. He's thrown me against the wall, into a pool, ice bucket on my head, slammed my arms into a door, and he sexually assaulted me. Damn. Puff. This is not looking good, bro.
Bruh.
This is not looking good. This is not looking good, man. This is not looking good. They said you sexually assaulted the girl. You're bugging out. They say, yes, he's thrown things at me. He's thrown me against the wall, into an ice bucket onto my head, slammed my arms into a door, and he sexually assaulted me. They said, sexually assaulted you more than once? She said, more than once. Holy shit. Did you want to be in the arts? She said, yes. This was before social media. I thought if I put my mattress on my car and drove to New York, I could do it. I went to work for Georgiana Chapman, red carpet dressing. They said, and then she said, assistant to Mike Myers. How did Mr. Combs hire you? She said, I met with a recruiter. I met with HR and Tony Bays Fletcher. Did Mr. Combs interview you? I'm guessing they meant you. They said me, but I'm guessing they meant you. They said he, at his apartment, he was on the phone wearing his underwear. The HR lady left. They said, did he put on clothes? He said, yes. Did you get the job? She said, yes. I was excited. They said, how much did you expect to work? He said, a lot. She said a lot, but I didn't fully understand. They said, how much were you paid? She said, $50,000 a year, I'm guessing. What did you do on your first day? He said, HR told me I was on trial for 2 weeks. They said, where did you start? He said, his Alpine, New Jersey house. I was there all day. Then where? Back to the office, she says, for a few hours more. Then I was told Puff wanted me to come to the studio. How long were you at the studio, they ask. Until 1 p.m. the next day, she says. Then where'd you go? Puff's apartment, then home. How fast did you have to return? She says, I didn't take a nap. I didn't want to risk it. How much did you sleep during the first 24 hours on the job? She said, I didn't. I took it as a challenge. There had been a TV show a few years before called I Want to Work for Diddy. It was like that. They said, how did you deal with the lack of sleep? She said it was like that. They said, how did you deal with the lack of sleep? They said, when I was young, I tell myself you can sleep at 3 p.m. Then they say, objection, it was overruled. How long did you stay up once? She said 5 days. I take Adderall, extended release. I could quasi function and stay awake. He said, when did you sleep? He says, my hearing went and my equilibrium was off. Blurred vision, lights that weren't there. I cried. So she stayed up, and she was up to the point of her losing her hearing. She couldn't hear shit. She was starting to lose her equilibrium. She had blurred vision. I'm pretty sure you start hallucinating at that point. Well, yeah, she said the lights that weren't there. That's hallucination. So they said, were you then told you could sleep? She says yes. They said, by whom? Puff. Why did you stay awake that long? She said, I was working. They said, I'm introducing exhibits. And it's a long process, they said. They said, these exhibits are under seal. We renew our objection. They said, admit it under the seal. They asked Mia, what is this? She says, a list of my responsibilities I sent to Tony Bays Fletcher on November 10th, 2011. Said, Puff has said, I don't know what you do all day. Holy shit. Damn. Now imagine you staying up for 5 days, working your ass off. You ain't getting no sleep. And your boss walks in and says, bitch, I don't know what you do all day. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Mind you, you've been up for 5 days. And the motherfucker just stroll in and just be like, bitch, what the fuck have you been doing all day? Can y'all imagine? I'm just trying to, like, can you truly imagine some shit like this? So, I'm sorry, I had to hit the Doja one time. Gotta take a little Doja break. It's a crazy day in hip-hop, isn't it? I'm not gonna lie. It's a crazy day in hip-hop. There's a lot going on. I'm glad I'm free all night to deliver this to you. But they come back and say, let's focus on a few things in this document. Please read this, Mia. All of the PD's social media presence. Who's PD? She says, Puff Daddy. I wrote main liaison between PD and Hollywood. They asked, how did you do that? She said, a BlackBerry 24/7. Said, I wrote, anticipate his moods. So it was kind of a known thing. And I think we all knew this, that Puff might go off. He might go off on you. He's not afraid to go off on niggas. He got a temper. He has a mood. They asked, why is that important? He said it dictated the day. So Puff could be in any type of mood. He can be in that brother love mood. You know, super happy. Super, you know, that person we all felt that Puff was behind closed doors and presented to us. But, you know, it went a little deeper than that. She said it dictated the whole day. It could throw off your entire and everybody's day, probably, especially Cassie's. I can imagine. So they say you wrote, every day is different. And that he could ask you to crack his knuckles or do his taxes. They asked, did you have an apartment? She said, yes, in New York City. Were you there much? She says, no. My roommates joked they lived with a ghost. In LA, where did you stay? In the staff house, then in Puff's house, 9933 Beverly Grove, then 9374 Beverly Hill Crest Drive, then 200 South Mapleton. They said in Miami. She says 2-star. Could you leave? She said only with Puff's permission. Once I left at 2 a.m. after he was asleep, I got in big trouble. So she left one time while he was sleeping and he went off to her. She asked what happened. He said security called me to say he was sending them to find me. It was at the first LA house, 2009 or 2010, she says. Were you allowed to lock your bedroom door? He said no. He said, it's my house. No one locks my doors in my house. So it wasn't really my room. But did security get to lock their doors? He said, yes. One had a deadbolt, another had a keypad. God damn. Security was living good. If you was security, you was the only niggas living good around Diddy, apparently. Mia, she continues, I was told they were actively hiring other assistants. They said, how long was Malcolm, the assistant who was there when you started, stay? He said 7 or 8 months. He says, were you the only one then? He said, yeah, for like a year. How did you fare? Or how did you feel, they said. So I didn't have time to feel. It was insane. Puff gave me a prep talk like we were a team. He said, I need a second brain. Did he hire more? He said, yes, eventually. But I still felt like I was responsible, she says. You got punished? She says in various ways. Getting cursed out, my intelligence insulted, and my job threatened. Who did those things, they asked. He said, Puff. Who's this? They show her a picture. She says, George Kaplan. He was another personal assistant for Puff after me. What was Revolt Films? She says, Puff and I started it together. Were you still performing personal assistant duties? She says, yes. How much did you get paid? She says $70,000, then $100,000 a year. There were supposed to be bonuses. She said, did you get them? She says, no. Puff wasn't giving out shit. So then they break, they come back. They say, who's this? She says, Cassie Ventura. How did you know her? She says, working for Puff, we became close friends. They says, still to this day? She says, yes. How was their relationship? She says, highs and lows, unequal. She says, was there violence in their relationship? She says, yes. She says, we'll get back to that. What was Mr. Combs' role with respect to her career? He said he decided on everything. Shows, the look. Then they show another picture. They say, what's this? She says, a mail from Cass to Puff. And others, me. When did he send it? She says, it was 4 a.m. It says 7 a.m., but we were in California. It was on their time, their hotel nights. He said, what did she write? That she was canceling, apologizing to Interscope and others. Did Mr. Combs respond? Please read. She said, Cass wrote about telling Slevin Hill. And then they asked, what did she mean? Do you think? Stephen Hill of BET, Cass wrote, no support, no show. Why did you forward this to Tony Fletcher? She says, I had to keep her informed. She was in charge of booking hotels. Did you ever see Mr. Combs on a movie set? He said, yes, everyone would be very nervous. He would insert himself. What was his role with respect to Cassie's appearance? He was in charge of it, she says. Did you have exposure to Cassie's finances? She says, yes. She said, they asked how. I learned from the company, she said, paid her credit cards, and that the places where she lived were under his company names and her cars. Did he take things away? She said, yes. Cars and jewelry and support if he couldn't get her on the phone. He'd keep tabs on her through me. They asked what it part maybe they meant was it part of your job to spend this time with Cassie? She says, yes. I had to do whatever Puff told me. Could you go wherever you wanted? She says, no. We had to be where Puff told us we could be. And if not, she says something very scary. The punishment was unpredictable, but terrifying. They said, we'll talk some more about that as we get through your testimony. How would Mr. Combs communicate with Miss Ventura? She says, sometimes through me. They said, did you see violence with Kind? She said, I saw a lot of aftermaths and injuries she had. I've seen him attack her and throw her on the ground. I've seen him crack her head open. I've seen him chase her, things like that. They said, did she fight back? She said, no. What did you hear and see? She said, suitcases being thrown to the foyer. Did you see Cassie after that? She said, yeah, she was outside crying in a bush. She looked terrified. She gestured, I'm hiding, I'm not here. And what did you do? She said, I retreated. Did you tell anyone? She said, I think the chef was in the kitchen. The sentiment was like, they say objection, it was sustained. They said, what did the chef say to you? They say objection. They said, not for the truth. It was sustained once again. They said, what happened in Cassie's apartment? It says, we were there, me, Cass, and Deontay Nash. They said, what were you doing? Helping her pack for a big trip to London. Puff came banging on the door, very irate. They said, how did he get in? He said, a key from the front desk. Said, what was Mr. Combs asking Cassie? He said, have you been drinking or something? She hadn't answered his calls. What did Mr. Combs do? She said, he came after me and Dante screaming. Had she been drinking? He was crazy aggressive. He attacked her. He threw her to the ground. Me and Dante jumped on his back to try to stop it. And what did you do? They asked. She said, Dante is very small in comparison to Puff. There was a little tornado going on. He had Dante in a position where I was scared he was going to kill him. She said, so I jumped on Puff, but he threw me off and against the wall. She said, I felt like I was in slow motion. I realized we were in big danger. He ran into the bedroom and grabbed Cass. Under her bed is a bed platform. He slammed her head into the corner. They said, what injuries did Cassie's get? She said her head was gushing blood. They said, what did Mr. Combs do? He said he got into protector/survivor mode. He said to call the doctor so-and-so, tell them Cass was drunk and hit her head. They said, why did you do it? He said, Puff said so. His eyes were black. It was like he was looking through me. He was like completely. Then the judge said, let's get to the next question. They said, did you see Mr. Combs take drugs? She said, yes. They said, when was he high? When he was high, how did he appear? She says, sometimes like the life of the party or hyper. They asked, where was this? She says, Ibiza or Burning Man or music conferences. It says, when he smashed her head, did he seem high? She said, no. Did you go to Prince's party? She said, yes. What happened the night before? She said, a big award ceremony, a suite in the Beverly. He told me to stay with Cassie, that he was going to be at his house with his kids. But then I heard about Prince's party. They said, what did you do? Cass and I debated like little kids if we should sneak out of the house and go to Prince's party. Prince performed on a little table. Then I saw Puff come in with his bucket hat. We locked eyes. I thought, oh crap. Cassie just booked it. So they had to sneak out. It was at Prince's party like some little ass kids. She locked eyes with Puff. And before she could even look at Cassie, that bitch was already on jets. She was out of there, okay? Out of there. She's gone. They said, where did you go? She said, across the street, there were woods or bushes. But Puff caught Cass and had her on the ground. God damn, how fast is this nigga? What the fuck? Yo, how old is he at the time? I gotta see the layout of this place. I don't understand how he caught her. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she was out, and he just said before she knew it, he had her on the ground. She said Puff started to attack her, but Prince's security quickly intervened. They said, and then later, she said, I went to another hotel. The next day, HR told me Puff was suspending me without pay. Did they say why? She said that Puff said I was being insubordinate. The judge breaks. They leave. The judge says, Miss Miss Smizer, how long with Mia's direct? And he says the rest of the day. We like her off the stand by the end of the week. They are going to take their time with this woman. Holy fuck. Combs team comes back and said this is a problem. First it was a flight, now this. The judge says, I have not cut anything. The judge says, I let Mr. Donaldson take the time he wanted. He says, Combs team comes back and says, I'm not blaming the court. They said, it's a pattern I'm seeing. The judge said, it's common courtesy. They come back and say, I don't know how long Mr. Steele's cross will be. They don't need to put these things on the record. The judge says, if we complete this week, fantastic. It keeps things moving. Okay. So let's get past that and get to their break. They said we subpoenaed from Verizon phone records Miss Geragos has agreed that if Your Honor finds them admissible, you can give them to us and we to them. Okay. He said that's fine. They said let's get Mia back. They say all rise and so on and so forth. Okay. So they continue. They asked Mia, you were speaking about violence between Mr. Combs and Cassie. Have you traveled to Turks and Caicos? She said yes to Parrot Key. Twice in 2012. Me, Puff, and Cass. They asked what happened. She says, I was sleeping in my bedroom and I was woken up. She said, Cass ran in saying, you've got to help me. He's going to kill me. They said, what did you do? She said, we started pushing furniture in front of the door trying to block it. Puff was banging and screaming. I had a porch that went out to the bench. We ran. They said, what do you remember about running? He says, I remember being amazed that even while running fast as we could, even while running fast, we could be attacked by bugs. Okay. They said, did you run another time? She says, I have another visual of where we were hiding, of trying to escape like 2 separate times. We got into paddle boards and went out on the water. Puff was on the beach screaming at us. Yo, this shit is a movie. This shit is a movie. This shit is a full season series. HBO would have a ball. It says Puff was on the beach screaming at us. It was flat and we went out far. Puff got smaller and smaller on the beach. The sky got dark and Combs, and they said objection. It was overruled. They said we went back. They said, did you ever call the police? She said no. She said, why not? She said, I believe Puff's authority was above the police. This was before, this is bad. This is, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to hear stuff like this if you're the defense or Puffy. He said, this was before social media and Me Too. There was no examples of people standing up. I thought it was under the confidentiality deal with Puff's business. They said, what's this? She said, a photo of Cass eating a hot dog at the premiere of her movie, The Perfect Match. She was bruising under her makeup. I took this photo. They asked, any other injuries covered up on the red carpet? She said, yes, at Cannes Film Festival. What injuries did you see? She said, a busted lip. She was injured. Where were you? She said. In her hotel room with Larry Sims, her hairstylist. Did you learn how she got the injuries? She said Cass had an audio recording of Puff attacking her. How did Cassie sound in the audio recording? They said objection. It was overruled. She said panicked. I heard the sound of someone getting hit. They said, did you go to events? She says, the premiere of Brad Pitt's movie, Killing Them Softly. They said, what happened at the premiere? He said, Puff was digging his nails into her arm and talking low. It said, what would Mr. Combs ask you to do? He said, take care of her. I'd bring her arnica gel. I don't know what that. I've never heard of that. Arnica gel. They said for what? She said for bruises. They said, let's turn to December 22, 2011. And she said, at Puff's house, the mood was darker than normal. This was more of a, like, Puff was upset. They asked, what did he tell them? Oh, no, they asked, what did he tell him? She said that Cass had been talking to somebody else. She said, who? They asked who? She said Kid Cudi. They asked, how was he? She said he seemed heartbroken. It was ominous. I never witnessed Cass do something to really cause him to be upset. I felt something bad would happen. They said, did you see her? No. Did you then see her? She said, in a black car with Capricorn Clark. Did you reach out to anyone? She said, yes, D-Rock. They show her another picture. They say, what's this? She said, my emails with D-Rock. They asked only the redacted one into evidence. Steele says, same objection. They said he was security. The judge says, with that foundation, it's admitted. They said, read the messages. She said, I wrote D-Rock, I'm worried about P. This feels different. Hit this email when you get it. Love you. Were you romantically involved with D-Rock? She said, definitely not. This was just how we talked. It says, let's talk about the hotel nights. What was your role? She says, I would sometimes take them there, unpack, set up. I would have to just be like, on call essentially, and clean up before housekeeping. They asked, what would you bring? She said, his lotions and potions. Astroglide and candles, some of them cheap Glade candles without the label on. They had to be white. What else would you bring to the hotel? She says, anything he forgot at the house. Food, money. They asked how much. He said a lot, like thousands of dollars. Do you remember seeing Cassie? She says, at the London Hotel in New York, I had bought something to the room. Cass opened the door. She was wearing a bright blue wig. How did she appear? Said, like she was struggling. I asked, are you good? And she closed the door. Said, how did you clean the rooms? She said, Puff and the police, and Puff and the office. I'm sorry. It was standard to sweep the room so no housekeeper can sell something to TMZ. How were the rooms? She said, destroyed. Candle wax everywhere. I've seen broken glass, sometimes blood, oil on the walls, baby oil all everywhere. And they said they said they was getting handprints off the wall, all of that. Okay? They said, what would Mr. Combs tell you about the blood? He said that it was period blood.
Man, I fell down to my knees when the law came.
Bruh. That's what he told y'all? They said, what happened in Cassie's car in LA? Said Cass got a call and then told me he wants to do a hotel night. I don't want to. She got sick. After the hotel night, she said, man down. They said, what did that mean? They'd stay in the hotel room sleeping, only up to eat. Did you do drugs before you worked for Mr. Combs? She said no. And after? She says yes, MDMA. Puff gave it to me. He said that I was now part of the Breakfast Club. And what did that mean? She said, like the cool club. He said his MDMA was pure. I felt like I was now a friend hanging out and I could enjoy myself. It said, did you take ketamine? She says, yes, at Burning Man. We were partying on the tour bus. We had blackout shades on down. He said he had drugs on plates. I tried to say no. What happened? He said Puff would get it go. it turned a little more. I guess I meant to say it turned a little more serious. Oh, it said Puff wouldn't let it go. It turned a little more serious. They meant to say that I was going to mess up the whole vibe. I tried to fake take it. He got close to my face and humiliated me. They asked how. They said he separated out a dose and made me snort it. I didn't want to fall into the K-hole. I seen a person. It looked like an exorcism. It said, did you want to take ketamine? He said, I didn't feel I had a choice. Did you take the drugs while working? He was always working. Once on the way to Chelsea Handler. He said, how did Mr. Combs treat you? Sometimes like a best friend or a working partner. Sometimes like I was a worthless piece of crap. How would he compliment you? He said my work. He'd give me life advice. And tell you were worthless? They said long extended rants about how incompetent and stupid I was. Threatened my job. They said anything physical? They said he'd throw things at me. Did he talk to you about jobs for did he talk about jobs for you? She said yes, before Revolt Films, he talked about other companies. I told him I wanted to create and develop TV shows, especially comedy. He said that's what he wanted to do too, and he'd take away my credits. They said, what did he throw at you? He said a bowl of spaghetti, turkey meat, a computer, a phone.
Bruh.
This is crazy. Turkey meat? What? She says, let's talk about the spaghetti. What did he tell you to do? He said to get people, but I needed to change my tampon. He yelled, yo girl, I said do it now. Blood was dripping down my leg. I said, I have to go change my tampon. What did Mr. Combs do? He threw a bowl of spaghetti at me and said, get the fuck out my house, and he chased me out. I was barefoot. I hid in a bush, then to a hotel. They said, what did HR tell you? Said that I was going to be suspended without pay, and that Puff wanted. That's what Puff wanted. Where were you when he threw the computer at you? She said in the trailer. Swiss Beats was there. The Wi-Fi was broken and I went to look into it. I came back and said they were working on it. And what did Mr. Combs do? She said, I said I should talk to Bill Gates if I had to. She said I should talk to Bill Gates if I had to. Then he threw a computer at my head hard. It just missed me. I ran and hid behind the luggage van. They said, how did you feel? She said, I wonder what I did to make him like this to me. They said, did he hurt you? She said, Turks and Caicos at the Revolt offices. They said, where were you at Turks? She said, a hammock by my room. Puff dumped a bucket of ice on me screaming. Then took my phone. I didn't want him to see it. The team, we'd message about his moods. I didn't want him to see it, so I jumped on his back. They said, what did he do? They said he threw me. She said he threw me into the pool. Okay? He threw me into the pool. Now, this is where we're going to leave off in the Doja room. Okay? This is where we're going to stop right here. Because it's about time for me to go ahead and get my rundown on what is going on today, and I don't want to miss that, okay? Because my people in New York right now are on a little bit of a time punch, and I want to get in and get out before they turn Hollywood, okay? So this is where we're gonna leave off, and we're gonna pick up from here, okay? So we'll do our day 12 recap, and then we'll be getting into day 13 tomorrow, okay? So, and if we do have any more updates about Tory Lanez, we will continue the updates about Tory Lanez and do that as well, okay? So, I first and foremost, I'm going to appreciate everybody for stopping in. We had an incredible surge of people stopping into the Doja room here today, and I appreciate that. I think this might be one of our best episodes or streams yet. So I appreciate you guys stepping in to the Doja Room with me. We are going to pick up. Of course, if you want to continue, you can continue and read on for yourself. But we will be back in the Doja Room to continue this. And like I said, I want to talk to my people and get a little bit of extra context, especially Deontay Nash and what was going on there in the courtroom with him. So yeah, I want to make sure that you guys are updated with all the best. Okay. Make sure y'all go and sign that free Tory petition if you haven't already. All right. And if someone would be so kind to drop that link, I gotta find it all over again. If not, I'll find it. But if someone would be so kind to drop that link in the comments, so I can post that up, I would love that. But please, please, you guys, drop in with us tomorrow so that we can continue the Doja Room and we can continue this this trial breakdown. Okay, we're going on a nice 2 hours, and I think this is our longest stream yet as well. Okay, so again, I appreciate you guys for stopping in with me. Check out the playlist. Okay, check out our playlist, the official playlist for the Doja Room, and everything that we are putting on there is for independent artists. It is for the Drake fans as well. So it's a one-stop shop so that you can come in and support everybody that we have on coming into the Doja Room and dropping music. Real quick, because I want to shout the boy out. But shout out to, let me just pull that up real quick before we head out, because we do have an article dropping through. But I believe you pronounce it Fresh DiBiase. Let me just put him on. We've been working on a article for him. He just dropped the therapy session tape 1. I've had the pleasure of being able to listen to this entire album, and let me just say that it's a great listen. It's some great shit, and I really want you guys, if you listen to the Doja Room, if you like listening to our playlist, some songs from this will definitely be on both playlists. So and please check old boy out. We got an article coming out on him. And yeah, I want to get him onto the show so that we can probably maybe dive deeper into his music and his drop. Okay, so again, I'm your boy Dope Boy Diesel. I appreciate everybody for stepping into the Doja Room. It's been a pleasure. I always love it, and this has been a nice little daily routine that we've picked up. And yeah, as I've said, we're going to deliver this consistency to you guys, and I want to continue to deliver and step up the content even more. So just understand and know that we got more things in the works. Okay, so let me finally leave now. Okay, I'm your boy Dope Boy Diesel. To all my stoners, hippies, and hip hop enthusiasts, this is the Doja Room. Thank you for stepping in, and we out.
Yeah. Hey, this that special sauce. Spill that drip, I wipe it off. $1 million worth of game. Can't feel that I work too hard. Poetry on Lanez.